Okay, let's get this ready. Boy, that guy's loud. All right, let me go to my own live video so I can see the feed over here. And then I should be able to turn this around. Yeah, exactly. Let me turn this around at 180. And then the video won't be reversed. Oh, I guess I need to flip this too. There we go. It's a little bit of a delay. It's not much of a delay. I would have thought it would have been more. Now the question is, I do something like this. Is it able to be seen on the screen? Let's make sure there's enough lighting there. Yeah, it's not super clear. Move this out of the way. Let's see if we can. It's not too bad. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Am I able to change this to live chat? I am. Okay, that's interesting. Okay, so I have access to this thing as well. Yeah. Nice. All right, so I can type there. But I can't tell how many people are online from here. What if I, no, that's a poll. So your support, add emotes. Okay, what's this? Nothing. What's this button up here? Participants, timestamps, reaction, pop out chat. What's participants mean? Okay. Moderation activity. Moderation activity will be shown. Okay. There's an option here for timestamps. What's that do? Yeah, I like the timestamps on there. I can tell how long ago it went. And what's pop out chat? Don't really need that. And what's this? There's this. What's this goal thing? That's asking people for money. We don't do that here. It's not that kind of channel. It's not that kind of channel. All right, let's lose this. I should be able to read that like that. All right, so where we were is we were doing the numbering, attempting to do the numbering on this half track. All right, and for that, we're going to need a couple of things since they all dried out, of course. We know what number we're going to do. And we're going to need this. We're going to need some black, and we're going to need some white, and we're going to need some water. And we're going to need some buff. All right, so my little slurpy thing for the water is here. I don't care. I don't care that it's a little dirty. It's not that critical. What's this thing like all crick-crocked? There you go. All right, we can actually remove the hull. The wood in there looks pretty reasonable. Oh, we don't need our jewelry on it. All right, let's put a little bit of buff here. And a little bit of black. And a little bit of white. All right, and yeah, this should work fine. They're going to be black numbers. We want to lighten them up a little bit so that we can kind of sketch where they're going to be. Yeah, it needs to be a little darker than that. It's 121 on there. We'll do the same thing on the other side. Every World War II tank armored car versus suicide drones. Well, how many suicide drones? Is it 3? Or is it the same number of suicide drones? And is it in World War II? Because there's no Wi-Fi in World War II, so the drones can't fly. Well, one thing I could say is drones can be this or drones can be that, but nobody's going to be rushing to hobby stores to build models of drones. Right? I mean, they're freaking ugly. The drones are using in Ukraine. Yeah, drones ruin everything, man. I don't even like drones in Call of Duty, assuming they have those things. Of course, the drones in Call of Duty were better than those little suicide remote control cars in Siege. What was the name of that? What was the Siege? Was it? I forget which one it is. I played that and absolutely hated that. Little remote control cars that you'd slide them under the door and blow people up. I'm going to try something else. I need a little bit more oomph. man, this is like intoxicating. Whoa. Actually, I don't know if I can use this. That's not enough. Man, this is hard to, this is really hard to use. Get a headache from that. Do you think a king tiger could survive a drone hit? Probably not. Probably not. In retrospect, if you had like a king tiger, if you knew you were going to face one and you were faster than a king tiger, all you had to do is back up. And eventually its engine would break down before it ever got to you. And that goes for any tank. They all have really unreliable engines. You have to like switch out an engine after like a couple hundred miles. I mean, that's like ridiculous. Like just imagine, if and I don't remember exactly what the number is, but say for instance, you got like the Germans driving on Moscow, right? And like say the Russians put nobody up to defend Moscow, um, and you took like a Panzer III or something like that, and you said we're going to drive on Moscow, we're going to take over Moscow, and the Russians don't have any tanks at all, and we're just going to take this. We're going to take this Mark III and we're going to go all the way to Moscow. You'd have to replace the engine before you got to Moscow, even if it didn't fight at all. Like just number of miles, it's like two engines worth. It's crazy to think about that. Like that's how unreliable they were. You know, you're like, okay, just avoid it. They'd have to do, somewhere in the neighborhood of Minsk or Smolensk. You'd have to have a tank repair shop. They'd have to switch out the engine on a Mark III, even if it didn't encounter anybody with like in combat. Just the mere fact of having to drive it that far the engine would conk out. I mean, it's crazy. I have not served in the army before, only the play army. Have you? If I served in the army before, maybe I wouldn't want to have anything to do with this kind of stuff. That looks pretty decent. That looks pretty decent. And Denmark. Boy, there's a lot of people in Denmark that are pissed off at you. It's like, man, I wanted to use that. I wanted to use that call sign, Denmark. Damn it. Okay, so this is going to be 121. It's platoon leader's vehicle of the second platoon. First company, second platoon. Platoon leader's vehicle. All right. Now, we have some black lining that we got to do. So let's go ahead and pull that out. I want to get this thing completely done. Two Danish visitors today. What's your favorite beer in Denmark? I had an Icelandic beer one time. That shit was good. There's a chance that people in Denmark aren't proud of what Denmark's known for, which for here it's, Legos and what's the other thing? Those cookies. Like maybe you hate Legos, but you're Danish. That would be like my equivalent. Like if America was known for what's the name of that damn place? Golden Corral. I'm not that kind of American. We don't get to decide what our country is known for. The irony is, Danish is the food are probably actio vehicle from PETA. No. Speaking of PETA, does somebody make mine dogs? Russian mine dogs? I bet they do. I read those weren't really effective because sometimes the Russian dogs would run towards the Russian tanks. Like, boom! Whoops. Mm. They were supposed to get used to the sound of the German tanks as opposed to the Russian ones, but I'm sure in the process of that learning, something probably went sideways. I have a feeling. Sometimes you don't listen. All right, we need some beige brown. It's real hairy, yeah, as opposed to that fake one that we had here a little while ago. That guy's trouble. Welcome back, man. Keeping it real. Yeah, you don't get to pick what your country's known for. Who is the fake? I'm just messing with you. I'm just messing with you. There wasn't one. Who's the fake one? Everybody but you, man. Are you British? And the only reason I say that is because Harry is kind of a name. There's nothing wrong with the name Harry, but it's kind of a name that isn't used in the United States anymore. Not that there's anything wrong with it, but just to give you an example, there aren't any more Susans. Like nobody's named Susan anymore. Like when I was in school, there was occasionally a Susan. I had a neighbor named Susan. You don't run around with Susans. They just like disappeared off the face of the earth. You know. Yes, you are. Yeah, it's just one of those things that just doesn't exist here in the United States. I don't know. It's just maybe we'll come back. There's nothing wrong with it. That half track is just damn. Well, thank you. Well, we're not there yet. We still got some time to work on it. We're working on it. And this is something that I actually got from somebody that passed away. So we're trying to, and they had just bought it. It's actually a pre-painted model that's been repainted completely. Um, and it's just something to do. There's some advantages that it's already pre-built, and there's some disadvantages that it's already pre-built. Some of these things that are pre-built, sometimes they have like flash and stuff that's left in them. You have to go in there and like clean them out, or they become kind of an eyesore. So here's a question for you. Like I was saying, you don't get to choose what your country is known for. So I'm going to turn this on its head, Harry. What do you think the United Kingdom is known for? I don't mean nothing ugly. I spent 48 hours there and I liked it. I like painting these things like they're made of wood and they're, obviously they're not. They're a piece of plastic. Optical delusions. Is it evening there? Ish. Good evening, Britain. All right, now we'll keep using this little one because we got to do some precise stuff on here. Yeah, there's a lot left to do on this thing. And that is just fine. These little bits that are basically like the little rear view mirrors where you can, I think one of them even has a rear view mirror on it. Um, they're really brittle. I think the person who had this had it in a garage here in Florida. And the garages in Florida get extremely hot. So if you have something that's made of plastic and it's sitting I'm talking about really hot, I'm talking about over 100 degrees or whatever that is in centigrade, 45 degrees centigrade. And it'll just like bake all of the flexibility out of it. So that what happens is they like crumble, which is one thing that happens with like, these model kits that have these rubber tracks. If they're really old, all of the elasticity in it is gone. And just kind of falls apart on you. What's up, Luke? Welcome back, man. I think that's the only two tools they have on there. We have wood that's on the back of this MG. It looks like an MG34. Good. I'm glad you like the camera setup. We tried doing it a little bit different. I don't think I can zoom it anymore. Yeah, that's the only setting with using the. Honestly, I don't know whether it's the back camera or the front camera. The camera that I can't look at the screen. I got to look at the screen over here. So, all right, now we're going to get gunmetal because I'm not. Oh, let me get ahead of myself. We got to do the little wood of the shoulder thing for the MG. Yeah, let's highlight that a little bit. Hey, Tony, just happened to hop on while you're painting. You're doing your World War I miniatures. Excellent. Perfect timing, man. The Owl Man. Which World War I miniatures are you doing? I would do World War One. I like those tumbling dice miniatures. The only thing I don't like about World War One is those little field caps that the Germans use. They look like sailors. They just don't have a brim. They look weird, man. I I think the World War I Germans had brown boots, not black ones. That looks kind of odd to me. There's a miniatures game, a really tactical miniatures game that came out. Wow, it's old. I never had a copy of it. I remember being in the hobby store and like everybody would make fun of the cover of it because it had a really weird. The artist painted it and it almost looked like it was a weird look of the cover. And the name of the rules is called the name of the game is called Trenchfoot. And you can look it up. You can look it up on Board Game Geek, and it's very strange looking cover. And it's an individual. What the hell happened here? It's individual soldiers, but you had to pre-plot everything. So imagine if you had like 6 guys, and you would pre-plot. Okay, this first action, this guy's going to move to this hex, and then he's going to turn. He's going to do that. So you'd pre-plot like however many moves, all their movement points, and then everybody would move them. I mean, that's like exhausting. Like that's exhausting. And a lot of games from like the 70s used to be like that. You know, I don't mind moving individual figures, but having to pre-plot stuff, that's just a lot of work ahead of time. But the scenarios are relatively small. You wouldn't have anything more than like a squad or something like that. Now that I've come to think of it, it might have actually been a Frank Chadwick game. I don't know. Actually, I think it was a games designer workshop game. Feldmütz. Feldmütz. That's what the hats are called. They look silly. Those hats look silly. But it's like they're missing a brim. But if I had to do World War One, I would do 1914 Germans and French. I think that would be. I would want to do the French because their uniforms are colorful. You know, they got and I think it might have depended on the regiment or something like that, but I think they had like a blue coat, red pants or something like that. You know, there was 2 different colors. That's kind of neat. Twilight 2000. Oh yeah. Yep. Yeah, I remember the source books where you had all like a T90. Of course, they didn't know what a T90 what the hell looked like, so they gave you like an artist's impression of a T90. Okay, so the only problem with this is if this isn't a standard, the interior of this platoon leader vehicle isn't the same, then yeah, it's all wrong. Because all I did was I took this machine gun out. It's not one of these. It's one of these It's this one with the 37 millimeter replacing it. Okay, so now the next step we got to do is we got to add spits and stains. Yeah, they look like the War of 1870 uniforms. Yeah, they're cool. You know? I like playing French. You can say silly things in a silly accent while you're playing. Not the whole time, but when it happens. You should do a World War II platoon for the hell of it. I got lots of figures to paint. I got a platoon's worth of Germans. I got almost that Americans. I do like painting figures the most, especially figures that have been those plastic figures the soft plastic figures are actually really good. You think like, those things have been forever. They're not very good. No, a lot of those castings are really well done. 1914 French are exactly where I started World War I. There you go. All right, so let's get some of this wetness over here. Let's get one that's smaller. Let's get this one right here. Where there's a hinge, there's rust, guaranteed. oxidation, so to speak. I'm gonna have to replace the mount for that antenna. And this 121, some of it on this side is probably going to get covered. Oh, interesting. It doesn't have a vision slot here. Oh, that's a mix-up of the model. Yeah, this isn't this might be pre-built. It might have looked nice, but it's missing some details that it should have. Sometimes that happened. I had a Mark IV that had no gun sight, which looks really out of place because you have the entire side of the turret and it's got no detail on it. That kind of draws attention to itself by there not being anything there. Nothing crazy, just a little bit to add. Some other colors. That thing swivels. So water's going to stay in there. It's going to drip down. All right, it looks like we need a second dose of this. Let's just remove this. You got those little boxes. We want those things to stand out. You see them at a distance. You're applying the AK brown wash to the base Hobgrot hide, the military shade. How is that? How's that turning out? Have you done one of them yet? When I try something new, I just end up painting one of the thing. I'm always worried about like getting too far along and not turning out how I wanted it to. Second phase, yeah, you gotta wait for some of those washes to dry. I'm not a fan of that. It's just part of life, But I like to go 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 and keep going. I'm afraid of like not being happy with it and having to. Not only do I have to paint the rest of these units repainted, I got these other ones that are painted in a way I don't want to. So I always kind of overthink that part. Looks good. That's what you want. I need to use a little. I need to use a little boys' room. So let me use my little sign here that I created for myself. And I will be right back. That's why we put this on here. So we're not like, carrying on for 10 minutes and like, hey, your microphone's muted. I'm like, oh shit, Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with the black numbers because even if let me lighten up a little bit. I don't want it to be like loud. Like, what's the point in camouflaging this vehicle and then like, hey, I'm over here. It's like, dude, man, you're Shishkov. You're giving away our position to the enemy. I was like, maybe I don't like that. Yeah, you come back and tinker with it later. All right, one thing that I have forgotten to do. Oh, I'll have to do it on the front. Is we've got these the license plate thingies on the back. Yeah, I don't like that. Shit happens. Yeah, it's better. First one's always like, what theme am I going to use for this? All right. I just I just do a series of chicken scratchings for these numerals. I don't care to get decals for them. I don't care to even pretend what kind of numbers are going to be. That works for me. I can't give a shit about everything. All right. Let's see what else is in here. Let's take a look at. Let's open up a window for. Well, these are the super readers. No, we can't use those. Let's look at German half track. Okay, there's a toy that has a wheel up here. There's a couple of jerry cans. I don't almost want to stick a jerry can to it. It's got to be like on a mount or something. I don't want to automatically just stick crap on there and. Well, one thing we can certainly do. And I'm not sure these particular ones are going to work for it. What is that other little bag that I didn't think I was going to use? Let's see. I'm not sure I'm going to use this, but I picked up some wire. I don't know if I'm going to use the thick one. Yeah, well, if you super glue, remember, if you weld a jerry can to the side of your vehicle, you can't ever get the fuel out. Oops. What have we done? If you add something like this, I'm probably going to keep this one because this came all like beat up like this, so to speak. We don't want to use the Tamiya clippers for this. Let's just cut out a section of this and see what we can do here. Oh, let's not be fumbling and dropping things on the ground. Incompetence is never endearing. and I may not do this. I may just decide this is just too much trouble to, because I don't want to sculpt this stuff out of. All right, I think that if we start like this, I think I'm on the right track, and we'll have that down. Let's wrap this around to the point where it's not seen. I think that would work. I think that would work if I do something like that. And do the same thing on the other one in two places, and then glue it like this. But we want to make sure that this is flush, so we don't poke ourselves. All right, same thing. Back side's going to be over here. I really like this green stuff material because it's rubbery in a way, so it gives a little bit. Not terribly so, but it does give. What I'm going to do is I'm going to wrap this around. I really wanted this for like the tie downs, like if you're tying like a big tarp across the back of the vehicle. And then we'll cut this. Hello. And if I was not new at this kind of stuff, I would have just had a plan what vehicle was going to get what, glue them on, epoxy these in place, and then prime and paint everything. But I didn't know if I was going to do it, what it was going to turn out like, etc. I'm learning as I'm going. Okay. Now let's use the tweezers that I have ultimate confidence in. Yeah, you guys are definitely a candidate for epoxy. Now, let's push these down smooth. Yeah, I think at least this one is going to work out well. I think this one's going to work out well. Back. That's a problem for future me. Sorry I got cut off. My parents blocked out my phone. What? You're watching something wholesome, man. You tell your parents you're learning valuable skills. And that you're a good kid. You could be watching, crack hose or something like that. Wiggling something. All right, so the problem I'm seeing with this as that it's round and it's laying round. Okay, it's not so much of a problem like that now. Dude, let's get the epoxy. Let's fire up the epoxy. I'm gonna use this other one. I'm gonna use this one for epoxy. I don't want to mix different. Whoa, that one's got tire wheels on it. No, no, no. We got lots of these things. I never had parents that said, "Go to your room." I'd be like, "Cool. You mean where you're not at and all my toys are, or my whatever it is? My, this is my modern toys, but perfect." I never got sent to my room. Room's always a good place. People act like, "Man, that's a bad place." Like, not my room. This may not work. I may not be happy with the results. I don't know. I've never done this before. And I didn't want to go and spend $20 on, the aftermarket stuff and make castings of them. And it's just, I'll make my own little things. Is this one too big? No, it's actually not too big as long as it's secured properly. Really needs to be flatter. Now we're going to have to wait for this to set a little bit and still put this in at an angle. You have a king bedroom room. Really? Man, I went from a twin, which I don't know why it's called a twin. The only twins that would fit on a twin bed would be like twin Oompa Loompas. I went from a twin to a king. Like, I'm buying another bed, bam. I move out, I'm buying a king. There's no middle ground. Never had anything else. I'm gonna go grab a soda. No middle ground, all or nothing. Yeah, sounds like you're spoiled. I'm not going to say I didn't have anything growing up, but a lot of my friends had things I didn't have growing up. So, like, I couldn't wait to move out. You got all these kids now, they don't have to work and they got video games. I didn't have shit. Like, I'm getting out of here. I'm getting out of here. And I still didn't have that shit for a while after I moved out, but oh, sorry, I wasn't paying attention. It's Justin. Of course you have a king bedroom. You're an adult. I thought you were the kid that stayed in the bedroom. Yeah. No, I've had a king bed for, decades now, but, not when I moved out. I moved out and I still had my twin. Like, I ain't got no money. I'm like, I don't have any money to go spend on a bed. All right. I'm going to put this right about here. And pray for the best. I need to go wider. And the one splurge that I've gotten used to having now is having two refrigerators. And once you got that second refrigerator, and I didn't buy a second refrigerator. It was like it was time to upgrade. Like, well, we'll keep the other one. No point in getting somebody to try to buy it for nothing. No. Nope. We need more of an angle. This will dry in no time. There we go. I think these are too fat. These were for the back of the Czech 38. That's what originally they were made for. Yeah. I actually enjoyed making those. I was making those when I was watching TV. Me too. 2 refrigerators, 1 deep freezer. One's for meat from the hunt, right? Have you ever hunted something and go, man, this isn't worth eating. I wish I hadn't hunted it. Yeah, it's good. I think it'll look okay. I think it'll look all right. I mean, it doesn't have to have a ton of stuff, but you know. All right, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move this off to the side. You behave there, don't misbehave. I need to find out how they kept Spirit Track. I'm sure they didn't just weld it on there. One is all venison. Hunting duck is fun, and cleaning is disgusting. I've never cleaned an animal, and it's not something I was looking forward to. The one thing I was actually looking forward to is cleaning scallops, and they didn't let me. We got to take them somewhere, and they'll clean them automatically. I'm like, what the hell, man? What's this happen? What happens if I touch this? Oh, shouldn't have touched that. Oh, this tells me how many viewers are on. Okay. Oh, this is okay. Okay, I can see what's going on here. There, I can see how many concurrent viewers there are. 6. Excellent. Nope. Oh, we can edit. Let's not screw with too many things. You got a problem. All right. Well, that one's. Make sure it's level. We don't want no queer looking sideways tarp. Queer lane tarp. Hey, that's proper use of that terminology. All right, let's go to that guy's got a model. It's 1/16 scale. That's massive. Let's go to images. Here we go. Oh, looks like they just. Man, really? They just attach the wheels like that? All right, well, we're gonna do another one of these. This already. Yeah. Yeah, it dries too damn quick. It's like, it's too wet, it's too wet, it's too wet. You're fucked. You're done. Let's see if we can trust the old super glue. Probably not. Where is it? Oh man, they got lots of stuff up there, including some things that look like they're just balanced on there. Something like this. Okay, well, looks like I'm going to make some more of this stuff tonight. Now, what about this track? I see that track on any of them. I want to see if it's like, somebody's got it against the front, but you don't want to put it in a place where it's going to block visibility. You know, that's no good. Let's just use a little bit of this one. Let's switch back to the screen in case there's something critical. Ever since yeah, well, this is half track. I'm in my infancy of infancy. I do mean that, of making things with green stuff. But I think there's a lot of possibilities for sure. This is green stuff. This is green stuff that I made the other day. And like I said, I'm experienced painter. Doing all this stuff out of green stuff, I've never even really messed with it. But man, there's a lot of potential. Sure seems like it. Because you spend a lot of time, looking for. Let me see if there's a certain decal for this, and like just screw it, just freaking paint it. Move on. This tweezer is working really well. Now this one's a little too bent. It came to me like that. This was the only one that they had in this size. 26 gauge? 26 gauge. Yeah, it bends really well. So, how much is in here? 30 yards. I don't think I'm going to have to buy any more. I mean, shit, I could put tarps on the entire, Panzer layer for that. And the 4th Armored Division. But I didn't want to just stick this stuff up without anything attaching it to the vehicle. It just looks weird. Okay, I'm going to cut this. About the same length as that one. And now, a couple little ends. Yeah, this is pretty fiddly. I can handle it, but it's pretty fiddly. Let's let's try this one. That's a super thin one that I really don't have a use for. Très bien. Okay. I'm going to do something left-handed. Yikes, get away. And no, we're not going to attach this to it. It just needs to look like it's attached to it. Now, it's kind of a tight fit in there, so let's get the X-Acto knife out. It's just water. See if that's enough. Oh, do we? Nope. Oh, man. Well, I mean, this may not work. I may not, I mean, it sounds good on paper. Let's try it. Let's try it something different. I'm not giving up yet. But let's not use that one. That one's going to be, whoa. Almost going to be too thick. This one's too thin. Get in there. Now get off me. Got it. All right, now it should be able to fit in there now. Hardest thing I ever did was, well, I actually didn't do it, but I gave up on it. I bought a wooden model kit of a Spanish galleon I wanted to build. It was all wooden pieces. I'm like, all right, I got this, right? I can paint miniatures. I can build a wooden Spanish galleon. It's about, I don't know, maybe 2 feet long, something like that. And look at the instructions. And they want me to do things that involve like making a jig and things like that. Wow, this is really delayed. Why is there so much lag on there? Creators adopting live automated mid-rolls saw an average 20% uplift in stream ad rate. Yeah, I'm not doing mid-rolls. If you guys see a mid-roll, I didn't authorize that. That's annoying as shit. I've left channels because of that. There we go. There we go. There we go. Fits in there just fine. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to bend this down. And then bend this down. So it's kind of clipped in place. Okay, this isn't bad. This isn't too bad. And this is the first time I've done this, so it stands to reason next time I do it, it'll be better. It's not bad. Yeah, see, it's kind of held in place. So what I'm going to do is we're going to flip this. And now I want to avoid using epoxy. because of the mixing time. Let me open that a little bit. Let's get some here. And here. And now let's rotate it down. That's looking good. That's looking good. That's looking good. I mean, dumber people can handle this other than me. I already can't shuffle cards. I might as well try this and see if I'm good at it. Only ever had mid rolls on yours a couple times a month or so ago when you were having the problems with feeds cutting out. Well, that wasn't me. No, mid rolls suck. You know, that's for people that just merely are doing this as a revenue source. Like, that's not why I do this. I do this because I need accompaniment. All right, what else we got up here? These are the ones for the check 38s, but they're going to get commandeered. Doing the crappy ones first. I thought these were pretty good, but I like the ones that Jose gave me. These are no tan bueno. And I don't. That's epoxy. I don't mind if we get oversplash on it. But next time I do another batch, I'll be like, oh, okay, well, I kind of know what I like and don't like about adding this extra stuff. Let's just add them ahead of time, kind of thing. But before this, I haven't added any of this kind of stuff to any vehicles. Let's lose that. We don't need that. All right, so this is 121. Let me make this one 123. Yeah, I don't watch channels that have mid rolls. Like I was watching somebody that was like a recently, and it was like a review of toy soldiers or something, and like every 2 minutes there was another like interruption with a fucking commercial, and I'm like, screw this, I'll go watch somebody else. Maybe people that are like have like a life sentence in prison don't mind interruptions. The rest of it's like, I don't want any more interruptions, man. Interruptions drive me crazy. And the other thing I don't like, I was watching some program on tank battles in Tunisia or something like that, and you could tell it was like on the History Channel or the Military Channel or something. It was in such a way that every 10 minutes, when it went to a commercial break, which there wasn't a commercial break, it would like, it was like 10 minutes of programming, and every 10 minutes it would go back and it would spend 2 minutes explaining where they left off last time. And I'm like, I'm just watching it. Commercials, I hate commercials too, but the worst thing is radio commercials. Of course, that's easy to avoid because you just don't watch, you just don't listen to the radio. I, I find it hard to believe that there's people that actually like pay money to advertise on the radio. I'm like, well, your message is getting missed because I can't remember the last time I listened to the radio. But the first thing I was listening to when I was doing this kind of stuff was talk radio. But I don't care about sports. I don't care about politics. So what's left? Not a whole lot. And then I started doing the Audible thing. And then what ended up happening is I'd listen for a while and go, what did I just listen to? I don't know. I wasn't paying attention, so I do better with that when I'm just for driving. That's why you don't have cable. You're not missing anything. You really aren't missing anything, and you're saving money. You're missing a payment. And it got really expensive at one point. Well, my daughter was, this is like 2009. My daughter was like 4 years old. We were paying, I'm sure it's a lot more now, $140 a month for my daughter to watch the Disney Channel. Like, that's just not a good value. The Disney Channel, which old man Disney would like abhor if they saw what was on there. Old man Disney. Yeah, these don't have very good detail now that I look at it. The 3D prints that Jose gave me are much better. Much, much better. Okay, well, we got to paint this guy too. So while this is happening, let's go ahead and add some black line to this. I'm sure he has skeletons in his closet. Disney? Probably. There was an old cartoon that I wanted to show my daughter, and they have a series of them on there, like Goofy goes dancing, Goofy goes sailing, Goofy, the goofy things. And there's one of them, it was Goofy in the Navy. And you could tell this was like made in 1943. And, it shows him, firing the guns, just basically making an ass of himself, which is basically what he does, you know. And the end scene is he gets launched and he gets stuck in a torpedo tube and he gets launched at these Japanese ships, and all the Japanese ships have this face that looks like Tojo on the front of the bow, with the glasses and the buck teeth and everything. And I wanted to show that to my daughter. And, you can't find that commercial anywhere because, it's racist. Like, it's not racist. They made fun of them. They made, there's a difference between racism and making fun of people. Well, actually, it was in the 40s. It probably was racist. But, yeah, you can't find that stuff anymore. It's propaganda. And when the United States stopped doing stuff like that, it stopped winning wars. So, I don't know. Got to fight dirty till you win the war and then play nice. Is Ben on here? Tried to play a silly ass game a little while ago, and man, I just found out of reading one of those guides that there was a way you could change the controls on the game to make the lock picking easier. Like, oh, it'll be a breeze now. Nope, still can't open the lock. it just it just can't open the lock with on the console. My wife goes, "You always get frustrated when you play those games." I said, "You're right. I'm gonna go paint." Now that I was thinking about it, playing close combat, I don't think you could load infantry on half tracks in close combat. I don't think they could load up. Maybe in the last one, but not in the previous ones. You got Halftacks. They were just there to give machine gun fire. Support your troops with machine gun fire. Now that I think about it. Okay, so sunset's been about 6:30, so now it'll be 7:30. Growing about a minute each day. Yep, that's on there pretty solid. All right. Tarp colors. Well, we're going to need another coating of black on this. Just don't have to use the primer for this. Probably the same thing over here, I would imagine. Where that copper is showing through. All right, now, this road wheel that's sitting here, obviously the center is going to be some concoction of Dunkelgelb. All right, we'll need that to dry. Yeah, using these paints that are really, really wet. Got to be jumping from one thing to the other pretty often. And I'm not even going to put a number on this one because I'm going to put the number in the same place. So on this side, it'll just be on that side. You won't see the other one. I'm thinking about it right now. So I'm going to go ahead and numerate this thing. Back. Back, back, back. $52 degrees. That is perfect. Is it clear blue skies? I gotta go to little boy's room again. Well, I don't have to go. It's like I can hold it, but I can. Okay. I feel the pressure. Be right back. Well, I can tell you one thing. Adding a bunch of extra stuff to these vehicles eats up a shitload of time. I can tell you that much. You picked up another two XCs 3D printed 222s to complete your light reconnaissance platoon. So let me ask you something about XCs. It seems that the pictures that I've seen about XCs, it seems like they're exaggerated, almost like Warhammery. Is that true, or that's just an optical delusion? It seems like they're Warhammer like heroic and like top heavy looking guys, and the vehicles are like condensed a little bit, but just as tall. Maybe condensed like 95%, 90% or something like that. Because I was looking at their M10 for a long time, because the XC's M10 looked really good. But I didn't get one because there's nobody here in the United States that could print one. And I still don't know if somebody could print in the United States, but I'd rather them not be heroic looking. It looks like from the pictures on them that they're like that. And it might just be, incorrect. Exis. There's nobody in the U.S. that could print them. I don't think there is. And it took me a long time to paint those 222 that I have. I've had those a while and didn't finish them until relatively recently. Well, not a while. I mean, shit. I haven't had them since I only started back in the World War II stuff a couple of years ago, 2.5 years ago. I see nobody's taken up the big vacuum that I left in the DBA games. Nobody's sadistic enough to film all their DBA videos. Did you guys ever know what happened to that one guy that was a prolific poster on Fanaticus and he just disappeared off the face of the earth? He ended up dying. What was his name? Not Baldy. I can't remember what his name is. He was a prolific poster. He'd post like these long ass freaking posts. Like, dude, like just play the game, man. Stevie. Stevie. You guys ever figure out what happened to Stevie? I am on, all right. I did press the. Here it is. Yep. You might just be a slow typer like me. I don't type that slow. I just make a lot of mistakes, which is really frustrating because when I handwrite things, I don't make any mistakes. Benjamin Christensen, Denmark once again. Welcome. Yeah, adding this extra stuff really makes it take a lot longer to finish these vehicles, but that's okay. We're not in a hurry. These will get done when they get done, and that's when they'll be done. And they won't be done before that. All right. We've got a couple tarp things here and one there. And I'm going to use. No, we can't use brown violet. Brown violet is way too valuable. I will use green gray. Brown violet is the original U.S. olive drab color for tanks. And they discontinued it. Vallejo changed the color they decided to use for it and discontinued it. And that's like a pain in the butt. So I've got a little bit of that left, and I'm holding on to that like for dear life. What are you going to use as pigment on them? Pigment on what? Pigment. Let's do this one in this color. Whoa, way too bright. Well, I mean, way too bright to start off with. That's what I should say. Hello. Is there one part of World War II stuff that just doesn't interest you at all, Justin? There's actually a lot of things that don't interest me, but or don't care to war game, I should say. I find it really hard to kind of um, get into the spirit of the Japanese. It's just, that whole suicidal thing. Just no. You make the other guy. You make the other guy commit suicide for their freaking country, not you. Air Force. Yeah, I know it was a rude awakening when I was playing some of those flight simulators, and I realized, like, figured, oh, okay, well, the Messerschmitts ought to be pretty good. And I said, well, not a dogfighting. You don't. You play games that on a strategic level that have aircraft, and then when you go back to a tactical level or a flight simulator, you're like, man, these planes have some major shortcomings, or you got to play them certain ways. I remember that when the Microsoft came out with their combat flight simulator, I picked that up, and everybody's flying Hurricanes because they turn the tightest. Because everybody wants to dogfight, of course. Nobody's going to boom and zoom. Everybody's there to dogfight. I'm actually going to go ahead and use the same color for this stuff that's in the corner. We're going to vary it a little bit, but we'll at least start with a common ancestor of color. Now, where's the water at? Over here? I know some folks that, I know one guy that won't play Soviets because they're communists. I'm like, well, yeah, well, the Germans just as bad. We'll play them. I'm like, okay. I play everybody. It's just some things are just not that interesting. Heavy armor. Heavy metal. You like heavy metal. Armored cars. There's a lot of armored cars that are cool, but there's some armored cars that are ugly. There's some armored cars that are ugly. Bit of a rash here. I wonder why. Allergic to painting. What? I don't like those Staghound armored cars. I think their turrets are ugly. Yeah, I have a feeling I'm probably going to go to bed early today. It shouldn't make that much of a difference to throw me off by 1 hour, but we had a couple times this last year that had a bird that's flown into a sliding glass door. Not a sliding glass door. We don't have sliding glass doors, but you know, a door that's mostly glass. It's mostly glass. It has a frame around it, but it's not. It doesn't slide. Normally takes me a couple of weeks to get used to the clocks going forward. March 28th. They had it almost consistently. The fall back here was almost always the week before Halloween. So you can guarantee you're going to have a Halloween that was dark. And I think they moved it. They moved it in the last couple of years. They moved it. They made that time between when it starts and it ends shorter than it used to be. So yeah, you say March 28th. It's You guys have 2 more weeks. I want to say that's how it used to be in the States, and then they went and screwed with it and changed it. Why'd you go and screw with things? They should drop that time clock thing. They found a way they can hire more people for the government if they do that. I prefer the time that it is right now, but I'd really prefer if they just didn't screw with it. Just pick one because you get used to it. All right, well, I'm going to take a little bit of a break, wait for some of this stuff to dry. How long have we been on here? An hour and a half or something like that? At least an hour and a half, I would think. Yeah, it's a long process when you start adding all these little things on here. 2 hours. All right, folks, thanks for stopping by. We'll see you guys on the next one. Bye-bye.